anyone now because I can't see.
I don't think you are.
I think, well, they're nice, sorry, but none of them address the issue as to why those things are the case. So they're just being like, you could still do it. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously I could still do it, but like, those barriers don't just magically go away at the sight of a tweet like this. Say if it was to say something like, some counselling takes only 4 hours a week, or I don't know. You can fit it around whether you're balancing work, you're a carer or whatever. That sort of thing would, I think, be helpful.
So more information about the reality to make it more accessible.
I also think it's lovely to be encouraged by this, by whatever this is, you, I guess. But like, you're not then the people that would be interacting with us once we're counsellors. So like, again, it would be more meaningful if it came from, I don't know, something more relational to us relative to where we live, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, from my own thinking, the reason why under 45s are less than 20% of the counsellors, we've already discussed these issues. It's not a full-time paid role. And you'll find that a lot of the under 45 are still finding their way in life. They've got lots of responsibilities. If you're in your 20s, you're just finishing off university, you're trying to find a job, you're trying to start a family. And obviously, if you're in your 40s, you're trying to establish yourself, like settling your kids in school and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot going on. And having that spare time to kind of do voluntary work for the community can be a bit challenging. And I think that's one of the biggest issues why it's not enticing to people of that age range.
Okay, thank you. Millie, any thoughts?
So I'd probably say, because similar to Georgina, like I'm a avid scroller. I will scroll and I probably wouldn't read that. So I think if I was to look at that and not read it, apart from the one with the woman that says be a counsellor, I'd probably, if that didn't have those words, I'd think, oh, that's something to do with fitness. And this is, I wouldn't associate those pictures with to be a counsellor. And I wouldn't necessarily, I'd probably also say, right, if it's like, 20% of counsellors under 45 compared to 45, oh, why is that? Oh, it's probably going to be difficult to do. So, there's obviously a reason why only 20% are. Or there's only a reason why only 2% of Asian or British Asian. But I don't think that is necessarily, I'm being really critical here, aren't I? But I don't think it's necessarily, that wouldn't entice me. It doesn't grab my attention. I suppose I'm coming from a marketing social media standpoint, because I do a lot on social media, but having the infographics, having it kind of quite simple, the infographics, and something that's really going to grab your attention with not too much information, almost like a little, not clickbait, but something's there, it's eye-catching, it's all in one place. So if you're scrolling, you can't kind of miss it. And then you think, oh, I want to read more on that. And then you'd click and read more.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you the next one and see what you think of these. That little laugh. So what are your initial reactions to these?
I don't really think the hashtags would be very useful here, because hashtags are normally a way to get a post out there further, and I don't think anyone is searching the hashtag choose to challenge. That's just what I thought. And then also the pictures are just so wordy. It's just yeah, I just wouldn't read any of this. It would really need to be like simplistic to catch my attention.
Yeah, so too wordy.
Yeah, I'd probably just scroll past because it's not that there's a lot of writing, but I probably, yeah.
Okay. Solomon?
I do think these are better.
Oh, sorry, Rosanna.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
No.
You're better.
I think that these are better than the last ones, although I do agree with Billy and Georgina that like they're still very a lot of text.
So what's better among them for you?
Well, I think that they do partially address the barriers, like I mentioned before, in terms of like Councillor Jones's quote and Councillor Smith. But yeah, they are a bit long. I don't know that I would read the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think if I was a person with learning difficulties, I would be more interested in reading what she's written about disability, because as soon as you see that, it's eye-catching. You're like, oh, what's she talking about when it comes to disability? So if I was a person in that category, I'll probably be interested in reading what she's talking about based on her experiences. And it's good to see or know that 1 in 6 of them is a counsellor. So I think that would be an attraction if I was in that category of people. I'd be like, okay, maybe I should find something to do since I haven't got much going on in my life. Yeah. But obviously, on the other hand, when Councillor Jones talks about all the other issues, I think these are issues we've already discussed about, which is quite interesting, that we weren't just stereotyping, but it's what actually goes on. Yeah, it's the reality of being a councillor. So yeah, it's good to know.
And how does that affect you? Like, that understanding that it is the reality?
I mean, again, it depends on where you live. Like I said, if I lived in inner London, it's more than likely that I'll probably stand and be voted as a councillor. But again, there has to be a reason behind it. Like, obviously, if you've been affected by the local issues, then you're like, okay, I want to represent my people a bit better and represent them better and talk about the issues which no one else has talked about or addressed. But do these councillors actually get hard, and do they really achieve much? I don't know. Maybe they do. Depends on where you are. Because sometimes they might have a lot of things to talk about or shout about, but if the borough is poor and they haven't got that much funding, nothing ever really gets done. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, I'm just going to move us on to the next one. See what you think of these.
Yeah, I like these ones. I think these ones would appeal to me probably the most. I think in the same way that I can't remember whether it was Solomon saying like, if that applies to you, then you read it, whereas lots of other people might scroll past. But like, so I find it quite useful to have a link in a tweet if I am interested, because otherwise the tweet stands alone. Do you know what I mean? So that's potentially quite useful. I do still think that what Georgina said ages ago about having like a sort of jazzier infographic with the most important bit like on the picture stands here though as well.
Yeah. Anyone else?
If I'd mirror that, I think they're much better. I think it kind of, again, having kind of a snazzier infographic, or even, you know, I know obviously I'm going against what I said, but like the quote from somebody who, you know, is in part of that rather than just a picture of a person, like a quote from somebody that is actually a counsellor. But I think they're kind of a bit more snappy, and it's kind of like you look at the first bit. It's not saying only 2% of this. It's saying, well, did you know this many people do this. It's not kind of mirroring kind of the